उधर देख के तभी इधर देखूंगी मैंने कुछ इशारा किया। मेरा तो बंद है, वाईफाई बंद है।
Respected Sahasrabuddhe sir, shall we start?
Are you asking me?
No, Professor Robert. So till the time we start, we have our Honorable Chancellor, Mr. Sunil Galgotia over here to introduce you. And we are starting in a minute. And we have our CEO, Mr. Dhruv Galgotia.
Good evening. Good morning to you, Professor Roberts. Thank you so much for joining us early in the morning for you. It's completely our pleasure to have you on board and have us on grace us on this occasion. We are truly honored, sir.
Thank you.
Next.
He was in some other meeting.
I understand. Okay. His meeting was to be complete. Next. नहीं मैंने कर चुकी हूँ 3 So
Nothing has such power to broaden the mind as the ability to investigate systematically and truly all that comes under thy observation in life. A very good evening to the assembly of distinguished guests, worthy members of Executive Board, most prized delegates, and valued audience. With these lines, I, Priyanka, your host for the evening, feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all presented for the second Research and Innovation Awards ceremony organized by Galgotias University, Greater Noida. Today, 11th January 2022, marked the historical day in Galgotias University, wherein I find immense pleasure in introducing our honorable guests of the day, Nobel laureate Sir Richard John Roberts, world-renowned biochemist and molecular biologist, who was awarded the Nobel Prize for the discovery of introns in eukaryotic DNA and the mechanism of gene splicing. Sir has said that it is absolutely safe to support the GMO technology and it has the potential to save lives in developing countries. And an eminent academician, an astute leader, a far-sighted visionary, a renowned luminary of great eminence, Professor Dr. Anil D. Sahasrabudhe, Chairman of All India Council for Technical Education. We are really thankful to you both for taking the time out of your busy schedules to grace the occasion. I further extend my warm welcome to our Honorable Chancellor, Sir, Shri Sunil Galgotia, CEO, Sir, Mr. Dhruv Galgotia, VC Ma'am, Dr. Preeti Bajaj, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor Planning, Professor Dr. Avdesh Kumar, Honorable Director Operations, Ms. Aradhana Galgotia, and Honorable Registrar, Sir, Dr. Nitin Gaur. Deep Jyoti Parabrahma, Deep Jyoti Janardana, Deepo me haratu papam, Sandhya Deepo namastute. With this noble thought, and to make this evening a blessed one, let us invoke Goddess Saraswati by kindling the lamp of knowledge and wisdom in the form of lamp lighting. May the divine power bless us all. Thank you. There is a famous saying, it doesn't matter how many times you win an award, it is always very special. Another academic session is drawing to a close, and we are here in this grand function to release more praise and appreciation to one more flock of birds with multi-hued feathers into the vast world of research and development. Now, the person who has consumed himself to change the society and light the darkness in the lives of the students, the man who conceived the idea of this university, none other than our Honorable Chancellor of Galgotias University, Mr. Sunil Galgotia, a humble leader with philanthropic skills, worth commending, a vivacious personality with extraordinary aesthetic sensibilities. It is my distinct privilege to request our Honorable Chancellor, Sir, to deliver the welcome address. Chancellor Sir को mute करना पड़ेगा.
A very good evening and welcome to the second Research and Innovation Award ceremony. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome Professor Dr. Richard John Roberts, Nobel Laureate, and Shri Dr. Anil Sahasrabudhe, Chairman AICTE, to have joined us to inspire all of us today. It is an honor for us that we have such stalwarts in India and global education joining our celebrations and motivating us to work harder and scale greater heights. Their work towards inculcating research has been laudable. My vision for Galgotias University is to be known globally for value-based education, research, creativity, and innovation, and we are accomplishing this vision with the help of our faculty who have done exceptional work in the field of research and innovation. Research awards are conferred to all worthy innovators and researchers for their dedication and passion, for adding new knowledge in their domain. And I congratulate all the award winners today. It is also encouraging to see that the university has developed the research guidelines, processes, and mandates, which are also being released today. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We feel really proud to have your supervision and backing with us at all the times possible. Without you, it could not have been possible. Galgotias University values its intellectual and sports capital, nurturing it through a perfect blend of traditional and contemporary ways for the comprehensive development of the student's personality. And blessed with the energy of logic, our Honorable CEO, Mr. Dhruv Galgotia, identifies and executes never-ending ways for real value addition to students and faculty's growth, being a firm believer in continuous research and innovation. The young CEO has been honored by national and international luminaries for his innovative global education system. Without any further delay, I would like to call upon our Honorable CEO of Galgotias University, Mr. Dhruv Galgotia.
Thank you, everybody. Good evening and a very happy new year to all the distinguished researchers and faculty of Galgotias University. It's indeed a proud privilege and an honor for us to have Dr. Anil Shastrabuddhaji, Chairman AICTE, who has been a guiding light and a mentor to all of us. My challenge first to you, sir, and thank you so much for being here today. I also welcome Professor Dr. Richard John Roberts, a Nobel laureate who is known globally for his exceptional work in the field of research to facilitate and inspire our awardees. Today, we have gathered online not only to celebrate the success of the university, but also the talent and passion of each member of the Galgotias family amongst us. I feel happy that we are starting this new year with the commencement of the second season of the Research and Innovation Awards organized by Galgotias to recognize and appreciate the hard work, determination of the entire Galgotias fraternity in accomplishing the mission of our university to be amongst the top in the country. The research awards will be facilitated to students, faculty, PhD scholars of 13 schools having 19 departments, and various parameters have been considered, such as consultancy, research grants, publications, journals, authored books and chapters, patents, and many more criteria. I'm happy to mention that we have more than 8,000 publications and 200 plus patents published, and many are in the pipeline within a short span of time. And in the year 2022, we set to achieve an even higher target. I wish each and every winner all the best, and congratulations for a successful research awards function. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was indeed enlightening. Research and Innovation Awards are a way to encourage and propel innovative thinking, creativity, and inculcate competitive spirit. By virtue of our Honorable Vice Chancellor of Galgotias University, Professor Dr. Preeti Bajaj, a woman with rich administrative, academic, and research experience, these awards have been instituted. She is a dynamic personality, achieving many of the milestones in various accreditations during her extensive experience. The one who is known for her leadership skills and has taken the education in Galgotias University to new heights by bringing in 12B status, leading the way towards an institute of academic excellence, initiating outcome-based education, and a lot more. I cordially invite our pillar of strength, constant source of motivation, Honorable Vice Chancellor Ma'am, to elucidate us upon research and introduce the guests of the day.
Thank you, Priyanka. Honorable Chancellor, Mr. Sunil Galgotia, Galgotias University, Honorable Nobel Laureate, Professor Richards, Honorable Chairman, All India Council of Technical Education, and my personal mentor, Professor Anil Sahasrabuddhe, CEO of the university, Mr. Dhruv Galgotia, Director of Operations, Ms. Aradhana, Honorable Justice Midha, Advisor to Chancellor, Professor Devi Singh, Pro Vice Chancellor, Registrar, Dr. Minakshi, Dean UCRD, and the team of researchers, research awardees, faculties, and students. Very good evening and good morning for our guest from US. I have great responsibility to introduce our two important guests of the day. Pardon me if I'm not able to justice. Honorable Nobel Laureate Dr. Richard Roberts is the Chief Scientific Officer at New England's Biolabs, Ipswich. He received a PhD degree in organic chemistry in 1968 from Sheffield University and then moved as a postdoctoral fellow to Harvard. From 1972 to 1992, he worked at Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, eventually became an assistant director for research under J.D. Watson. Due to his interest in type 2 restriction enzymes, he began work on these newly discovered enzymes in 1972, which he have been a major research theme. His discovery of the alternate splicing of genes in particular has had a profound impact on the study and applications of molecular biology. In his 1977 study that individual genes could exist as separate, disconnected the segments within the longest, strongest of DNA, resulted in fundamental shift in our understanding of genetics and has led to discovery of split genes in the higher organism, including human beings. Study of transcription in adenovirus 2 led to discovery of split genes and mRNA splicing, for which he received the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 1993. During the sequencing of the adenovirus 2, the genome computational tools become essential in his laboratory, pioneered the application of computers in this area. He received the multitude of awards such as honorary doctorate from many, many universities and Golden Plate Award of American Academy of Achievement. He was knighted in the 2008 birthday honors. In 2005, a multi-million-pound expansion to the chemistry department at the University of Sheffield, wherein he had been student, was named after him. A refurbished science department at Bishop Claim School, which was also known after him and who had donated a substantial sum of his Nobel Prize winning to the school. He is currently member of advisory board of Patient Innovation, a keynote speaker at many, many conferences and conclaves, and the chairman of Laureate Science Alliance, a non-profit supporting research worldwide. Let's give a big applause to the guest of today. And we have another guest, Professor Dr. Anil Sahasrabuddhe, the present chairman of All India Council of Technical Education, having held several post academic research and administrative position at Indian Institute of Science, Tata Consulting, Director of College of Engineering, Pune, wherein I have been for 21 years. We know, sir, for his dynamism, which the many, many reforms which he brought into the engineering education. And since 2006, prior to that, he was at IIT Guwahati before joining as an director of COEP. He's busy in shaping the generation and especially engineering education, wherein he has introduced all disruptive technology programs, e-governance, wherein sitting at the office, he can look at the engineering education across the country. He's the innovator for multiple methods of classroom teaching, molding teaching, and the reforms which he has introduced is Smart India Hackathon, NPTEL, and he has been bestowed with the Maha Entrepreneur Award as well, the 2011 Praj Industries Edupreneur Award, 2013 from Engineering Watch, Jeevan Gaurav Puraskar, Lifetime Achievement Award of MIT World Peace University, Gandhian Peace Award, CSR Times and Indian Achievement Forum Award, Ravi J. Mathai National Fellow Awards, and many other. the mentorship scheme, internship scheme, Skill India, adjunct faculty scheme, national directorial fellowship scheme, and many other initiatives sir has taken. Sir, thank you so much for sparing your precious time for us. On behalf of Galgotias University, I welcome both the esteemed guests to this second research award ceremony. Neil Armstrong said, research is creating new knowledge, and each one of us can define in a unique way of research. And that's very true for us as well. Let me tell you about something about the university. The Galgotias University, it started its door for first batch with 1,500 students in July 2011. In 2022, the university has more than 17,000 students. The students' first philosophy is a big reason why Galgotias University is being constantly ranked among India's top universities. We have 13 schools, 19 departments with 53 undergraduate programs, 36 postgraduate programs, and 25 PhD programs. University has UGC 12B status and amongst top 200 university institutions in the country in NIRF ranking. Programs have been accredited and having more than 8,000 publications, 400 plus patents, and 200 plus patents have been published, having 800 plus faculties, and recently we have been categorized into excellent category under area ranking. Awarded 4-star rating by Institution of Innovation Council, IIC for 2021, and 4-star rating in teaching and facility placements by QS ranking in 2017. Second world ranking on outcome-based education. The university have instituted research incentives for the faculties to motivate them for research, and this is second awards in its sequence. The first one was in 2020, January, exactly 2 years back. 17 policies are there to regulate and govern and supports the researchers, and all are on public domain. The various good practices like consultancy share, the seed money for research, research incentives, sponsorship for attending conferences and training, 50% concession to the faculties for PhD persuasion, paper to be all undergraduate, postgraduate, PhD, and the assignments, everything to be checked from iAuthenticate, the strongest tool in the world by Turnitin. Patent support, legal and financial is all being taken care by the university. The ethical committee is in place. The incentives of today are being given in 12 categories, considering the parameters which are globally known. Publications in Q1, Q2, journals, consultancy, and all that I have shared. So their participation, publication, the citation, the publication in Scopus, the Web of Science, and so all these parameters have been considered and which will be briefed by our Dean UCRD as well. I congratulate the research team led by Dr. Meenakshi and Dr. Naresh for their wonderful work undertaken and compiling the research outcomes of the university. The university has set its target and itself, and hence the faculties too, which will be released in the form of a beautiful document which is known as research mandate, and which will be releasing today its 5th version by Honorable Chairman AICT Professor Anil Sahasrabuddhe. The university have also established the Incubation Center for Research, Innovation, Startup and Entrepreneurs, GIC RISE, and Galgotias University's Fab Lab. So 50 plus student startups have been incubated, and the university is participating in all AICT and MOE initiatives like NEP implementation, National Innovation Startup Policy, Smart India Hackathon, the Institute Innovation Cell, Internship, CBCS, Induction Program, and many more. In today's program, we shall be appreciating the top researchers, top faculties from each department, top 2% of the faculties of the university based on their ITIN and ASH ratio, the research team and the placement team as well. Honorable Chancellor, sir, you are true visionary, and the true teacher in you have always inspired us. With this, I conclude and welcome once again in today's second Research and Innovation Awards of Galgotias University. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We are so honored and privileged to have you here. A good plan, violently executed now, is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. The follower of these lines Our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor Planning, Professor Dr. Avdesh Kumar, is a doctorate in Computer Science and Engineering from Thapar University, Patiala, with an experience of more than 20 years, carrying polite and self-effacing demeanor, committing to all his promises and plans, efficiently assisting the university in carrying out day-to-day activities. I invite him to address us.
Good evening to everyone and good morning to the guests available in USA. Galgotias University has taken a great initiative to reward our faculty members and researchers. This is all possible because of our dynamic leader, Sri Sunil Galgotias ji, who is Honorable Chancellor of this university, Mr. Dhruv Galgotias, Honorable CEO of this university, and Professor Preeti Bajaj, Honorable Vice Chancellor of this university. I am thankful to Professor Richard John Roberts, Nobel Laureate, the chief guest of this event, Professor Anil Sahasrabudhe, Chairman AICTE. No organization can grow without innovation and research. All national and international ranking agencies, they have a huge weightage of innovation and research in their ranking category. Our university has good research facilities and environment for the faculty members and researchers to do research and do innovation. By giving research award, faculty members
Thank you, sir, for making our lives easier with your apt plans and execution. Leadership is doing what is right when no one is watching. Following the path of this quote, Honorable Registrar of our university, Dr. Nitin Gaur, is a doctorate in computer science and application with double masters in MCA and MSc Computer Science. Since 2013, he has been the custodian and seal of the university records. He was also associated with the Education Department of Uttar Pradesh Government, India as a nodal officer. So I cordially invite a person whom we could label as a problem solver, a man who is always on his toes to conform to the practices of the university, making sure no one face any hassle in smooth running of the operations of the university, to take further.
Good evening to all of you. First, I would like to thank our Honorable Chancellor Sir, Honorable CEO Sir, and Honorable Vice Chancellor Ma'am to start the research award facility in our university. And I want to give the special thanks to our chief guest, Professor Dr. Robert John and Dr. Anil Sahasrabudhe Sir. We at Galgotias University always try to motivate the research, and since 2011 to till date we have updated our policies to motivate our faculty members and students in terms of the research and other things. We always updated our policies to motivate the students and faculty members that how we will get the maximum number of research patents, research publications and other things in the good journals and good in India, and we want to contribute for the country, that how we can grow our country, our university in terms of the research and other things. We assure you from the Galgotias University that we will give you the best researchers, maximum number of patents from the Galgotias University in future, and we will be the on top in the India in the research and patents field. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You have always taught us not to look back in anger or forward in fear, but around in awareness. Thanks for being the guiding angel of the university. Every big discovery cannot lead to a Nobel Prize, but the excitement of work behind that discovery is much more than that. Quoting the lines from one of his speech, I would request a strategist, charismatic, creative, and humble guest of the evening who has modestly shaped the world with his excellence in research in medicine, Honorable Nobel Laureate Professor Dr. Richard John Roberts, Chief Scientific Officer, New England Biolabs, Ipswich, Massachusetts, to share words of wisdom with us. We welcome you, sir, and very good morning to you.
Thank you. Okay, can I share my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Okay, good. So it's a great pleasure to be here, and I plan on talking a little bit about the things that enabled me to win the Nobel Prize. But as you will see during the course of this talk, I think luck was probably the single most important feature of my achievements. But I'll go back and start at the beginning and tell you a little about my childhood, about my progress in research, how I got into research, and then eventually the experiments that led to the Nobel Prize. Okay, so I was born in the UK, in Derby, which is sort of in the middle of the screen on the left-hand side. I lived on a street called Almond Street, and it was on a direct flight. This was during the Second World War. It was on a direct path to the Rolls-Royce factory where they were making all of the engines for the RAF airplanes. And I was fortunate that a number of houses in my street were destroyed by bombs, but one of them was not mine. And so we actually managed to survive the Second World War successfully. Now, my father was a motor mechanic, and he took a job in Bath, shown on the right-hand slide. The coloured pink is about 100 miles due west of London. And so it was in Bath that I grew up and that I have most of my childhood memories. Oh, sorry. Having some trouble here moving the slide forward. Okay. So I went to a junior school called St. Stephen's School. It was a very small school. There was about 120 pupils there total, and that was 4 classes, 30 classes each. But I learned something really important while I was there. And again, it was something that I was not really aware I was learning at the time. But when I used to leave to go home, the headmaster would often come up to me and give me puzzles to do. And I guess he must have seen something in me. A lot of these were mathematical puzzles, and I loved them, absolutely loved them. And it was only later that I discovered there was no one else were getting these puzzles. It was just me. And so I've always been extremely grateful to him. His name was Mr. Brooks, and he actually died just a few days after I won the Nobel Prize, and he did find out about it, and I was able to send him a note of thanks because he played an important part in my life. And I think as you go through life, you discover there are people who have dramatic influences on you, that it's only when you look back that you realize the effect that they had. Now, Bath is a very beautiful city. If ever you go to England, I would definitely recommend visiting Bath. The crescent on the top right-hand side is the Royal Crescent. It's a very beautiful area, and I actually lived rather close to that in some council housing. My parents were not particularly wealthy, and so we were living in a rental accommodation. But they really supported my curiosity and my love of puzzles. And they'd buy me jigsaw puzzles. And when I was about 11, I came across a book called How I Became a Detective, which was sort of a traditional book saying how a police detective achieved the opportunity to go and investigate crimes. And this sounded fantastic to me. And so I was pretty sure that this was what I wanted to do. But then I received a chemistry set for a Christmas present. And my father helped to build a chemistry lab in the kitchen. And I discovered pretty soon that in addition to all the mundane experiments that came with the kit, that you could make fireworks and you could make explosives fairly easily, which I did, not always with my parents' knowledge, but it was a very good experience to have this opportunity to learn something. I used to go down to the library and find chemistry books to read, so that I knew what it was that I would need in order to make explosives or fireworks or whatever else I wanted. Now, when I got to be 11, 12, I went to this school, the City of Bath Boys School. This was a grammar school. It was one of the more elite schools that they have in England. And it was a public school. It wasn't a private school in any way. It was just a regular public school, but it was one of the better schools in Bath. And I increased my love of mathematics. I learned to play the violin and joined the school orchestra. And there were a couple of other things that happened during my time there. One was that because we were close to the Mendips, there were lots of caves. The Mendips are a limestone escarpment. And so I became interested in caving and spent quite a lot of time underground, which I discovered I loved very much. And again, this was an opportunity to discover things. You could go and find passages that perhaps no one else had ever been in before, but certainly it was new to me. And so that was a lot of fun. I also discovered jazz because jazz was very popular in Bath. They had a jazz festival every year. And that was very nice. And I think this love of music has gone with me throughout my life and has really been something that's very important to me and very helpful. I also had the unfortunate experience when I was in Bath of almost being thrown out of school. When I was 17, I got very bored with what was going on. And so I stopped going. I used to go and sign in first thing in the morning, and then leave, and I'd go and play billiards and snooker down at the local YMCA, and then go back at the end of the day and sign out to make it look as though I'd been at school. But eventually one of the masters found me, and I thought I was going to be thrown out of school. And I actually went to audition to become a professional billiards player because it was something I did rather well at the time. But fortunately, the headmaster relented and decided not to throw me out of school. But then the rest of the school time, I was fairly closely monitored. But playing billiards and snooker, I learned probably the most important lesson of my life. And it's one that I would like to share with you. I was playing in a tournament one day, and I was trying to pot a ball, and I missed the shot that I was going for. But by chance, I made a scoring point. And so I was able to continue the break. But the next shot that I took, I missed. And afterwards, an old gentleman came up to me. I was 17 at the time. An old gentleman came up to me and he said, you know, you could be a very good snooker player, but you have to learn to take advantage of luck. You had that lucky break and you just fluffed the next shot. He said, when you have luck, you must take advantage of it. So for instance, if you're playing tennis and the ball hits the net, just drops on the opponent's side so he has no chance to get it, you have to really work twice as hard to make sure you take advantage of that. And I think this is something that stayed with me throughout my life because everybody has luck. You students, faculty, everybody has luck in their life. And it is very important to take advantage of that, because if you don't, other people who do have luck and take advantage will overtake you. And so always think about the importance of luck. And it's worthwhile sometimes even going back and looking back over your life to see how luck has actually affected the things you do. And I think you'll find it's played a more important part than perhaps you had realized sometimes. Now, when I left Bath, I went to Sheffield University. And because of my interest in chemistry, I became a chemistry student. And after I finished my undergraduate work, I went on to become a graduate student, and I started doing research. And I realized that doing research was really a chance to be a detective and to solve chemical puzzles in the world of science. And it was a really wonderful experience. And I was extremely fortunate. I had a very good mentor in Sheffield in chemistry. His name was Kazu Kurosawa. And he really taught me more chemistry than I ever learned from anybody. And it was very good because at the end of the first year, I actually had all of the skills that I needed and all of the results that I needed to get a PhD. But of course, in England, you have to spend 3 years getting a PhD. And so I spent 2 years really playing around in the lab and doing a lot of reading. And I read a book called The Thread of Life that was written by John Kendrew, a Nobel laureate. And that book really paved the way for my career because it was about the history of molecular biology. And by the time I finished that book, I knew that this was what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to be a molecular biologist. And so again, I learned a lesson there too, that it's really very valuable. Whatever you're studying, always think about things that might be related, that are unrelated. Take the opportunity to be curious. Look around at university, there'll be interesting lecturers coming. Go listen to what some of them have to say, even though it's not in your field, because you just never know when you're going to come across something that is more interesting, more fascinating than what you're doing at the moment. Or you might learn something that you can apply to what you're doing at the moment. Now, Sheffield was a very good university. On the left were some of the Nobel laureates who taught at the university from one time or another. On the top right is a rather young photograph of myself, because I turned out to be the first student from Sheffield ever to win a Nobel Prize, and they thought this was pretty special. But then shortly afterwards, Harry Kroto also won a Nobel Prize, and he actually was a student at Sheffield. He was 3 years ahead of me, but it took him a little longer before he won his Nobel Prize. After finishing reading Kendrew's book and deciding that I wanted to be a molecular biologist, I applied for postdoc positions, and I actually applied to 6 different labs. Only one of them took me, and that was a man called Jack Strominger. And the importance of Jack Strominger was that he was at Wisconsin at the time, and I thought that I was going to be going to Wisconsin. This is a picture of Jack. But just before I was scheduled to go over, about October of 1968, he said, "Oh, can you please delay for a little while because I'm moving to Harvard instead of Wisconsin." And so it was again by chance, by luck, that I ended up at Harvard instead of Wisconsin. And Jack was a wonderful mentor and very good for me in many ways, because he had a reputation of being quite a taskmaster. He made his students work hard, but he just achieved his lifelong achievement, his lifelong goal, which was to be a professor at Harvard. And so he really liked this very much. And he started to relax and decided this was a time to change field. And so I ended up working with a postdoc who was working under him in Wisconsin and moved to Harvard with him. And it was to work on something called transfer RNA. These are small RNA molecules that transfer amino acids into proteins on the ribosome in cells. They're very, very important for making proteins. And so I ended up sequencing a tRNA in Strominger's lab. And that turned out to be really very nice for a number of reasons. One is that the method that the postdoc sort of taught me to do was an old-fashioned method. And again, by reading the literature, I discovered there was actually a much better method. And that had been developed by a man called Fred Sanger, shown here, who won the prize, the Nobel Prize in chemistry for DNA sequencing. And in 1969, I went to his lab for 6 weeks to learn RNA sequencing so that I could determine the sequence of this transfer RNA. And that turned out to be an amazing experience. Fred Sanger is probably one of the nicest people and really a hero to a lot of people in molecular biology. He was a very, very modest man. I met him on a Sunday morning, and he was busy washing glassware, and I thought he was the janitor. But then when I introduced myself, he said, no, I'm Fred Sanger. And I learned a lot from him. And I think one of the things that I liked especially was that he was a very humble man. He wasn't busy trying to tell you how good he was all the time. And I think that's very valuable. And Fred shared the prize with Wally Gilbert. And when I went back to Harvard, Wally's technician, Alan Maxam, actually came to my lab in order to learn how to do RNA sequencing, because when I went to Fred's lab, it was to learn RNA sequencing, which he had developed before DNA sequencing. So that was a very nice experience too. In 1972, I moved away from Harvard, and it was an interesting experience to go job hunting in the US, because I didn't really go job hunting. What had happened is, because I've been sequencing and learning how to sequence, and I was one of the first people in the Boston area to be doing sequencing, a lot of people came to my lab to learn how to do it. And one of those people was a man called Mark Potashny, who at the time was a professor at Harvard. And he one day came up to me in a seminar and he said, you know, Jim Watson would like to talk to you. He's going to come and talk to you because he's looking for someone with your talent to go to Cold Spring Harbor Lab to sequence SV40 DNA. And so I waited and no sign of Jim Watson. And then Mark came up to me and he said, well, you know, Jim doesn't actually know who you are. I guess Mark must have told him about me. And he said, why don't you go and introduce yourself? So I trot off to his office and go in. And I was in his office for a total of 10 minutes, during which he offered me a job at Cold Spring Harbor. And just as I was walking out of the door, he said, oh, you probably should come down and talk to us so that you can see what Cold Spring Harbor is all about. But don't worry, he said, you've got the job. So that's a great way to get a job, I can tell you. And it turned out it was all because of Mark Potashny, who had, I guess, told Jim that he thought I was okay and that I would be suitable for this job. So I went down to Cold Spring Harbor, and it was actually a little embarrassing on that first visit because it was a very rainy day, and Jim Watson was, you know, all outfitted with gumboots and everything else that you might need so that you could tolerate the rain. And I was in what passed as reasonably fancy clothes with some nice shoes. And so we walked around the Cold Spring Harbor lab grounds, and I got my feet absolutely filthy from mud, and then had to give a lecture. And I felt rather embarrassed about that, but nevertheless, it worked out okay. So I got the job. I moved there in September of 1972. And on the way, I'd actually learnt about an enzyme called endonuclease R. And it turned out to be one of the first restriction enzymes. In fact, it was the first restriction enzyme, but it was actually a mixture of two, as I discovered later on. But I realized that this enzyme actually offered the opportunity to make some progress in learning how to sequence DNA instead of RNA. And so I started looking for more of these enzymes, and I was very fortunate. Everywhere we looked, we found them because almost all bacteria have restriction enzymes. And so by the early 80s, 75 out of the 100 known enzymes had been isolated in my lab at Cold Spring Harbor. And this turned out to be very good because it also enables something else to happen that I will tell you about in a moment. Now, the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for the discovery of restriction enzymes went to three gentlemen. On the left, Werner Aber, who had discovered the very first restriction enzyme, but it turned out not to be useful. It was not one of the ones that was useful for molecular biology. Instead, it was Ham Smith, shown in the center here, who had discovered endonuclease R and had made it available to Dan Nathans on the right, who realized what you could do with it. It was kind of funny that Ham Smith at the time admitted that he hadn't really thought of what to do with it because he had found it as a result of looking for something totally different. And again, I think this is a very good example of how doing cutting edge research leads you into problems, paths, discoveries that you had not expected. And it is really the nature of good research that you don't really know where it's going to take you. And one of the things that I always like to tell students is, I love it when you come to me, come to my office and say, hey, I did what you told me to do and it didn't work. Because I always think, I'm an eternal optimist, I always think this means because nature is trying to tell us something. Nature does things in ways that we don't fully comprehend. And so then when we try to take our current knowledge and apply it to ask questions about nature, we don't always get the answers that we wanted. And so one of the great things about the Nobel Prize is if you ask almost anybody, the experiments that led to it, was it luck? And they will say, yes, it was totally serendipitous. I was looking at something else and this interesting discovery came along and things didn't work as I expected. My experiments failed, but then I took the time to find out why. And it was that asking the question, why did this fail, that led to the Nobel Prize. And I think all good researchers know that failure is actually quite a good thing. I think we actually do our young people a great discredit when we tell them that failure is not good. You know, they take exams, they don't get the grade A, they get a B or a C, and they feel that they failed. And failure is a good thing. Failure, if you learn from failure, you will do well. In fact, if you ask almost anybody who started a company, the first time they try, they fail. Most CEOs of really successful companies fail the first time round, but they learn from that failure and then they're successful later on. Now, while I was at Cold Spring Harbor, there was a bunch of things that happened. The first was in the very first period, we discovered 30 new restriction enzymes. And it was clear that these were going to be incredibly important for the biotechnology industry. In fact, they laid the groundwork for biotechnology to proceed as we know it today. And so it became apparent to me that we had to find a way to get these enzymes into the hands of researchers. And I'd been sending them out in vacuum flasks and sort of, you know, just giving them away to people who wanted them. But I could see that there was a possibility for a company here. And so I went and talked to Jim Watson and I said, look, I think we should start a company associated with Cold Spring Harbor and then use the profits to support the research at Cold Spring Harbor. To which Jim Watson, who was sort of pretty anti-commercial and not very innovative when it came to that thing, said, no, you can't do that. Can't make money that way. It's not going to be interesting. And plus it's kind of dirty to be associated with commerce. And so since I knew that researchers needed these enzymes, I asked around to see if there was someone else who might be interested and ran into a man called Don Cohn, who had founded New England Biolabs. And he invited me up to visit. At the time, the company was himself, his wife, and one technician. They were working in a basement in Beverly in a makeshift lab. And I became their chief scientific advisor. I sent him the strains that were needed to make the restriction enzymes, told him how to make them, which ones were the ones that were likely to sell. And this has been an incredibly successful company. We exist today. We have more than 600 employees now worldwide, and we do a great deal of business. And in fact, we've been making some of the reagents that are being used by the vaccine manufacturers, Moderna and Pfizer, in order to make their vaccines. And we've also made a lot of the reagents that are necessary to test for COVID. So as we started to discover restriction enzymes, I started something called a restriction enzyme list, which became the precursor for a big database I still run today called Rebase. We cloned many of the restriction modification systems. And then I got started doing bioinformatics because I'd always loved computers, and bioinformatics is just another way of solving problems. So one of the things that we wanted to do at Cold Spring Harbor was really to use the restriction enzymes to work on adenovirus. Now, adenovirus was something that had become a virus that was heavily studied at Cold Spring Harbor, partly because it's an interesting virus. You can grow it in the lab. It's pretty safe. And almost everybody has antibodies to adenovirus because you get infected when you're a kid. Mother thought you had a cold and you get a little loving care, and that's it. And so we thought that perhaps we could map the start point for adenovirus messenger RNAs. And we were interested in asking the question, were the sequences in DNA that tell an RNA polymerase to start making RNA the same in bacteria and in higher organisms? And so we pushed ahead with this. We tried everything we could in order to catch the 5' ends, and I came up with a very clever method, I thought, to catch them. But we didn't get the results that we wanted. The experiments failed, basically. But we were convinced that we were doing everything correctly. And so we felt that the failure was telling us something. And we were fortunate. Richard Gelinas, who was the postdoc who worked with me and did all of this work, we were fortunate in following through. And as a result of this, we discovered RNA splicing. The paper that described the failed experiments will call one predominant undeconucleotide in adenovirus late messenger RNAs. And the reason this was important was that the late messenger RNAs had exactly the same 5' end, even though the messenger RNA came from different parts of the genome. And it turned out that this was because of RNA splicing, that the first transcript was a very long one, and then the transcript, the RNA, was cut into pieces, and the pieces rejoined. It's exactly the same way that Hollywood makes movies. They take a lot of individual shots, take them all, and then cut and splice to make a final movie that looks as though it's continuous action. And that's how eukaryotes make their messenger RNAs, and that's what we discovered. This was the paper that described it. It's called An Amazing Sequence Arrangement of the 5' ends of adenovirus messenger RNA. And it was conducted with, the work was conducted with Louise Chow and Tom Broker. And we had gone down to talk to them on a Saturday. And when I had the idea for the experiment, they did the experiment by Tuesday, and splicing was discovered. We found out exactly what was going on. I probably don't really have time to talk too much about biolabs, but in 1992, I moved up there as a research director, and then now I've become their chief scientific officer. We did a number of things there, cloning restriction enzymes for commercial production, exploring the limits of bioinformatics, and also doing a lot of genome sequencing, which has now led to a brand new project looking at our DNA methyltransferases. I was fortunate in 1993 to win the Nobel Prize, which I shared with Phil Sharp. He had independently made the same discovery at MIT. We actually have one paper together from the time he was at Cold Spring Harbor. I knew him when he was at Cold Spring Harbor. And so that was rather nice. It was good to see him, and it was good to have the prize. One thing that did happen, again, a matter of great luck, was that when you go to pick up the Nobel Prize, you have to give a talk. And I hadn't worked on splicing for many, many years, but we had recently discovered with Xiaodong Cheng, who was at the time a postdoc at Cold Spring Harbor, a phenomenon called base flipping. And this showed that when a protein was going to put a methyl group onto one of the bases in DNA, it actually flipped that base right out of the helix into a pocket in the enzyme, did the chemistry, and then allowed the base to flip back in. And this turned out to be quite an important discovery for the simple reason that many, many proteins that do chemistry on DNA use exactly this mechanism in order to do it. And so this was what I talked about in Stockholm, because this was the interesting thing. And of course, if you just made a nice discovery, it's always a good place to talk about it in Stockholm. Now, normally I spend a little time talking about the importance of luck. I've told you some of these stories already, but what I would like to do is to tell you about probably the luckiest thing that ever happened to me. And that was number 5 on this list. And this was taking an early plane. You probably all remember the World Trade Tower incident that took place in 2001. The first plane that went into the World Trade Towers, I had been booked on that plane until 2 weeks before it took off. And I was heading to a meeting in California, and the meeting got moved 1 day earlier. And so I ended up taking the same plane, but 1 day earlier. And so I was able to avoid being on that fateful journey. And I woke up in California on the morning of 9/11, saw the horrendous pictures on the plane. And at the time, I didn't even think that I had been booked on that plane because it was, some time previously. And it was only later that I realized I'd actually been booked on that plane and had gone over to California 1 day earlier. So I am probably the luckiest person you know. I was good at billiards. I ran into all sorts of interesting people. I studied bacterial RM systems and discovered splicing. And almost all of it was because of serendipity, because of luck. And I hope that you, when you have your luck, that you take advantage of it, that you make the most of it. And you ask, what can I do with this lucky break that happened to me that I otherwise would not have been able to take? So I thank you all for your attention. I wish you the very best in your future careers, because I know that you will be very successful. But remember, luck is very important, and do take advantage of it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was really inspiring. As rightly said by Paul Drake, the measure of greatness in a scientific idea is the extent to which it stimulates thought and opens up new lines of research. The priceless gift of research, with your face carrying the benign energy, sets the best example for the generations to come. We are really honored to have you over us. I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, ma'am, to present the memento to our guest, Sir Richard John Roberts. Ma'am.
Sir, thank you so much for being so humble to talk about luck, but we understand the hard work which you have done and grabbed every opportunity, and that makes you what you are today. Thank you so much. Wish you could have been in person over here. We understand this is a challenging time, but we will definitely have you for your next trip in India, and welcome to Galgotias as well. Thank you for accepting our offer. As this is a small memento virtually, but the feelings are same.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
A leader is one who lights the path to impossible and takes those who follow to great heights. Herewith, I would appeal an entrepreneur, a great humanitarian, change catalyst, visionary, unwaveringly committed Honorable Chairman of AICTE, Professor Dr. Anil D. Sahasrabudhe, to express his sagacity to assist us in rising high. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Charan Spar, sir. Welcome, sir.
Very warm. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. Thank you, Ji. Thank you. Am I supposed to speak now, or should I open the research awards?
Sir, first, please, we will like to hear from you, your words of wisdom, and thereafter the...
Yeah, thank you, Preeti. At the outset, I would like to thank Galgotias for giving me an opportunity to listen to Dr. Richard John Robert, the 1993 Nobel Laureate of Medicine. In fact, the entire story which he was saying, I'm recapitulating in a couple of minutes. He was often talking about luck, luck, luck. But I would like to say that his passion for puzzles and the teachers and the parents, which allowed him to play with them in their formative school education age, is the one which will transform later when he starts working with DNA and RNA. It is nothing but solving the puzzle, solving of the problem. I think what was given by his teachers is so significant and important at the early age, which led him to achieve Nobel Prize. You know, it is not luck. Luck, he may be saying so, but actually in our culture, in our traditions, we have Bhagavad Gita where we talk about three things. First is Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. I think all three are embodied in Dr. Richard John Robert. He is a Jnana Yogi. Jnana is knowledge. He has been a seeker of knowledge right through his life. He is a Karma Yogi. He has been working hard without bothering what would be the outcome of that. And the outcome was the necessary thing that he won the Nobel Prize. Bhakti Yoga, he is so passionate about all his teachers. He mentioned every one of them. He had great relationship with all the teachers who taught him whatever they taught and how he got transformed into what he is. I think a phenomenal lecture, and I really appreciated every bit of it, what he was speaking. Today, when we are in the midst of implementation of the National Education Policy 2020, and Galgotias University has the second edition of Research and Innovation Award function, who better than Dr. Richard John Robert to be amongst us to encourage, to develop that curiosity amongst our students. You know, two things which were very important. He was talking about luck, but it is actually the serendipity which is more important. You know, luck is a matter of whether you accept it or not. But when something fails, there is a serendipity element involved in that, and that will make us to start thinking about it deeper and deeper, and we'll get solution which is going to be much more better than the original idea what we had started with. And that was very, very significant. I'm very happy that Galgotias have started awarding their teachers who have been doing excellent work in research. And research is the foundation on which our universities are all to be built. And the new national education policy on one side talks about multidisciplinary education. And again, I was curious when Dr. Richard was talking about variety of things, whether it is starting from playing of snooker or missing the classes and doing something else. I think all of that are like connecting the dots. And the multidisciplinarity is not about one single discipline. He might have started off with wanted to be a detective, to become study of chemistry, then moved on to biology, moved on to even computational work, and then analyzing everything based on the puzzles. And therefore, when we talk about multidisciplinarity, it is not subject specific. We are going across the board. You know, maybe science, maybe biology, maybe chemistry, maybe physics, maybe engineering science, maybe even law, medicine, or for that matter, anything and everything on the earth is knowledge. And how do we try to get it from our teachers is what is required to be done. We are also talking about what is known as National Research Foundation, through which support for research is going to come from the government in a big way. And thankfully, the policy has said that we will not distinguish when it comes to funding for research between public universities and private universities. So far in India, we had somehow very much little bit biased towards the public funded institutions, government institutions. Whereas when it comes to the private institutions, there was a stepmotherly attitude at times. The policy very clearly says that where there is talent, there must be money. And that is very, very significant as far as the new education policy and the support for innovation and research is all talked about. I would like to reflect, sir, that India is one of those countries which has rich civilizational value, Indian knowledge systems. In fact, many times people think that the science has come from the West. But I would like to say we are now aping the West, but we started with science, be it in terms of astronomy, be it in terms of chemistry, be it in terms of physics, be it in terms of biological sciences. From about 5,000 years of history, and the first universities of the world, Takshila and Nalanda, emanated from here. Subsequently, there is a bad patch. Let us forget about it. Today is the time when we have to catch up. We have to learn lessons from both past history of ancient Indian wisdom on one side and the modern tools and scientific investigation that happens through research publications, which are peer reviewed. We have to stand the test of time. And how do we connect these two dots and then move forward is what the new education policy is dreaming about. We have a lot of culture, we have a lot of music, dance, drama, all of them will encourage students when they are doing research. When the chips are down, some experiment we are doing and we anticipated the result to be in one direction. And if it doesn't happen sometimes, we feel totally let down. But that is the time when different types of, either listening to a music, going to a theater, or a little bit dancing, and even celebrating that failure will make you again get energized. And in the next day, you start working with the lessons learned from that failure, and I'm sure you will do something much better than what we are doing. Today, we are talking about sustainable development goals, which is so significant and important for our planet to survive, whether it is in terms of pollution of rivers or the air or the food that we eat or drink. And therefore, it is very significant that our research has to be guided towards the betterment of the mankind. How do we help it? Keep the environment intact. The funding will come from different sources. So we will get back to that. And I'm sure a small effort which Galgotias have started in terms of giving the awards, this will give encouragement to the faculty members to even put more efforts and then come out with flying colors. With these few words, I really thank the entire organization, Sri Sunil Galgotia ji, Dhruv Galgotia ji, Preeti Bajaj herself, Dr. Avdesh Kumar, all of you who have been supporting this cause. They need the accolades. And on behalf of All India Council for Technical Education, which represents the regulatory body in technical education, I thank you for inviting, and rich lessons of my life I learned from Dr. Richard John Robert. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you for your kind words, sir.
Thank you, sir. That was quite influential. H. Jackson Brown once said, "Don't say you don't have enough time. You have exactly the same number of hours per day that were given to Helen Keller, Pasteur, Mother Teresa, Leonardo da Vinci, and Albert Einstein. And with your accolades and the speech, you really are an unending inspiration for each one of us." I would request, sir, to kindly release the research mandate. Please, sir.
Is it the one?
Yes, sir, you have to download and put in the slideshow mode. The same one. Yes, sir. It's been always been inspiring to
Yeah.
listen to sir. Yes. So,
So this is what it is.
Just a minute. Actually,
This is
yeah, it's the same, but you have to download and then you have to play so that the curtain, this really, it will be formally released.
I see.
Yes, sir. It's a PowerPoint presentation. You just download and. So all disruptive technologies knowledge we learned from sir, and the same model of College of Engineering Pune, sir, long back, and the same with liberal arts, creative arts. That's the
Is
model.
it fine now?
Yes, sir. Now it's fine. And just you have to play PowerPoint presentation F5 if you can. Yes. Now it's, yes, sir. Next. So,
This is e-release of research mandate. So this is wonderful. Innovate, inspire, and ignite is the basis. The module is on R&D. Congratulations for doing this splendid job.
thank you, sir. Thank you so.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would now request our Honorable VC ma'am once again to present the memento to sir.
Shall I stop sharing?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Sir spoke about Jnana Yogi, Karma Yogi, Bhakti Yogi. He also talked about the ancient history of India, Takshila and Nalanda University, and the origin of science. Sir, it's always been very, very inspiring to listen to you at any of the forum. You speak so good and you correlate that with engineering education. And we have, under your mentorship, we have done many experiments wherein if you follow your passion and that enhances your concentration and you can devote more time towards your excellence. So thank you so much, sir, for sparing your precious time in this challenging time. And otherwise we would been more than pleasure to welcome you. We thought of you will be here, but we understand the challenges. But next time we'll like to host you in the campus. Thank you once again. And we'll continue with the program.
Thank you so much. Great honor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. You have always taught us not to look back. So taking it further, I would like to say this pandemic had made us learn to utilize every microsecond efficiently and effectively on our own that I bet you won't forget even. University Center of Research and Development has put in strenuous efforts in encouraging, aligning, and facilitating research opportunities during such tough times under the able leadership of Professor Dr. Meenakshi Sharma, who is doctorate in computer science and engineering with 16 plus years of an experience in academics and research. Hence, next, I would like to call her to enlighten us about the research mandate and policies of Galgotias University.
Thank you, Priyanka. Research is formalized curiosity. It is spoken with a purpose. Research is creating new knowledge. I, Professor Dr. Meenakshi Sharma, Dean University Center of Research and Development, on behalf of Galgotias University, extend my most sincere thanks to Amity for giving us the opportunity to conduct this event. It's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to our esteemed guest of today's Honorable Laureate, Dr. Richard J. Roberts, and Honorable EIC Chairman, Professor Dr. Anil D. Sasbuje, who graced the occasion at the concise notice. I am highly grateful to our Honorable Chancellor, Mrs. Sunil Galgotia, COE, Mr. Dhruv Galgotia, Director Operations, Ms. Aradhana Galgotia, and Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Preeti Bajaj, for being my torch bearer at every step, taking research and innovation to new heights. At Galgotia University, research is at core of teaching and learning, keeping our course contemporary, relevant, and cutting edge. Faculty members and students are actively pursuing interdisciplinary, socially relevant research in such area with state assessments in addition to teaching, consultancy, seed funds, grants, extension activities, where we guide their thinking process, not what to think, by showing the pathway to research in their specific field, by conducting timely training sessions, because we believe that education is more important weapon to bring change in world. At UCRD, we encourage and teach our stakeholders to do research projects, seed fund projects, consultancy projects, government and non-government projects, publish papers in high impact sector journals, write authored, edited works in Scopus, patent, national, international, and many more. We have proved our methods internationally by conducting many international workshops on research methodology with the collaboration of US University, IIT, NIT, Nobel laureate sessions, lecture series, and etc. For all, we have research policies in place to motivate our faculty and students to pursue research and innovation, such as research policy, seed grant policy, consultancy policy, ethical policy, innovation and startup policy, idea policy. The research mandate enforces that stakeholders can ensure that research work is carried out and meet the target as specified by the university by providing in-house research exposure to students, even and facilitating them to carry out research-based projects using research-based learning. Every faculty with a PhD degree has to guide at least one PhD scholar and shall have at least one PhD student graduating every year. Furthermore, each faculty shall ensure publication of at least one book chapter, books on advanced topic in edited volume book published over academic year by reputed publishers. As our SOP, we are giving the award in the terms of incentive for their research. We are giving the award for their publications. Either they have published their papers in SCI, Scopus, Web of Science, and they have published their books, authored books in Scopus Index. They are first author, second author, and the third author, and we have to be divided in the portion of if they are the affiliated in the Galgotia University. So, posing is good, but finding out is better. With this quote, I would like to encourage our faculties who are yet to be enrolled themselves in research to buck up, be part of University Center of Research and Development, use our resources, and establish a history of Galgotia University. Thank you once again, our AICT chairman, sir, and Nobel laureate, sir, to accept our invitation in this short notice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I would now request Professor Dr. V. Balamurgan, Director, International Relations, to throw some light on Galgotias University at an international level. Welcome, sir.
Pranam everyone. Honorable Chancellor, Honorable CEO, and Honorable Vice Chancellor ma'am, Honorable Nobel Laureate Professor Dr. Richard John Roberts, Honorable Chairman AICT Professor Dr. Anil D. Sahasrabudhe, guests, faculty and students. On the behalf of Office of International Affairs, Galgotias University, I, Professor Bala, welcome you all to the second Research and Innovation Award ceremony. Galgotias University has the vision to be globally known for education, research, creativity, and innovation. Galgotias University has already proved one of the best destinations for higher education internationally. To achieve our mission, the International Affairs Office has completed several international activities. As per the research policies of GU, the Office of International Affairs has started assisting PhD guides to collaborate with international researchers and adapt them as co-guides for the students to perform globally renowned research. More than 8 MOUs were signed with leading US ranked universities from countries like Bangladesh, France, Poland, Germany, Ethiopia, Romania, and Australia. All the MOUs are active and much collaboration in terms of student and faculty exchange is expected to happen in the coming months. More than 10 eminent professors from top US ranked university has joined Galgotias University as honorary professors and are guiding faculty in every aspects of academic and research. Galgotias University hosts numerous flagship Scopus conference consistently. The international conference culture started as early as 2015, and from then onwards, more than 2 to 3 conferences were conducted every year. The conference series of Galgotias universities are as follows: ICCA, GUCon, ICAAA. A total of 11 international conferences has been conducted, and all the papers were published in Scopus. GU conferences create an ecosystem for the knowledge shared among NCR academicians and have an international reputation. Our Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji has called for cross-utilization of research and innovation. To make it happen, Galgotias University has started the culture of IPR amongst faculty and students. All the faculty and students have already been trained about patents, copyright, and trademarks. Every faculty will have a patent, both national and international, within a short time period. As of now, the last 2 years has seen tremendous growth in the filing of patents, the number being 238 patents filed, 179 patents published, and 20 patents granted, making 437 patents. Out of this, there are 17 international patent grants from Europe and Australia. In the end, I would like to take this excellent opportunity to thank my mentor, Honorable Vice Chancellor Ma'am and Dhruv sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, it is the time to acknowledge the talent of our brimming colleagues from 19 departments, from 13 schools of a university, excelling in multitude of research fields. I would request our Honorable VC Ma'am to take it further from here. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Priyanka. So it's most awaiting moment for everyone. I congratulate all the research awardees of the university for under this second Research and Innovation Awards. Well, there are total 152 faculties across 19 departments, and I would be starting with the Department of School of Basic and Applied Sciences, which have 2 departments: a Department of Basic Sciences and Department of Biosciences. And the names are right from Dean. We have beneficiary Professor Divya, Dr. Anupam, Dr. Lalit, Dr. Shivam, Dr. Sushant, Dr. Shafat, Dr. Om Prakash, Dr. Leena Rani, Dr. Arvind Jain, Dr. Rajiv Kumar, Dr. Prabhakar Singh, Dr. Divakar Chauhan, and Dr. Pinky, Dr. Meenakshi Singh, Dr. Pooja Agrawal, Dr. Sanjeev Agrawal, Dr. Anupam Prakash, who is also in other categories, Dr. Ranjana Patnaik, who has second highest or first highest number of citations, if we consider the Scopus and I-10 as well, Dr. Prachiti, Vinny Sharma, Dr. Priyanka, Dr. Anuradha, and Dr. Manish and Dr. Kajol. Thank you so much, and heartiest congratulations to the first set of winners, which are across the departments, who have gotten incentives for their good work in publications, patents, and everywhere. The second school goes to School of Computing Science, one of the largest school of Galgotias, sir. And we have more than 6,000 students over there, and more than 200 faculties right now. And the faculties list is very long list, and maximum share goes to them. In this award ceremony, we are distributing close to 18 lakh rupees incentives for our faculties. And the list is right from Dr. Parthiban. So it starts with Dr. Munish Sabarwal, who is the Dean of the school, and then Dr. Parthiban, Dr. Balamugram, Dr. Rajesh, and Dr. Dilip Yadav, Dr. Ramesh Kumar, Dr. R. Vijay, and many more. So heartiest congratulations. And next slide, please. So yes, so here they are, and many more who were in the class. We could not cover them, but this is the team of computer science who have won the awards, and with the central team as well. Then the next school goes to School of Engineering, which has Department of Mechanical Engineering, Department of Electronics and Electrical, and then Department of Civil Engineering. And here are they who have gotten the incentives for their good publication. And sir, let me tell you, all these publications are free journals in Q1, Q2, Q3 journals, and then patents which are being filed by the university, and consultancy done by our faculties, and so on. Please, next slide, please. So here is the team. Next. So this is the Department of Mechanical, and then the last school which I'll be covering from School of Medical and Allied Sciences, which has two departments, Department of Pharmacy and then Department of Paramedical. And then the School of Pharmacy is an IRF rank, and then have very good history of research. And then it starts with the senior faculties, and then here they are. Amongst these, we have two top researchers as well, sir. I'll be coming to that slide. So the Department of Hospitality and Tourism, heartiest congratulations, Department of Hospitality and Tourism. The next slide, please. The department wise, we have categorized that who has gotten top researchers from every department. So Dr. A. Ram Pandey, Dean, Department of Mass Communication. He is the topper for his own school. Professor P. Suresh from Mechanical, Dr. Shitla Prasad from Electronics and Communication, Dr. Nitish Kumar Upadhyay from Law, Dr. Prashant Johri from Department of Computer Application. Next, please. So heartiest congratulations for topping your department, for performing the excellence. And then here the list is again, the hospitality, Mr. Vikas Sharma, Dr. Girish Garg from School of Finance and Commerce, Dr. Shikha Srivastav from School of Liberal Education, Dr. Karuna Verma from School of Medical and Allied Sciences, and Dr. Alka Agnihotri from School of Business. So they are the toppers in their top researchers in their departments. And then university top 5 researchers. It starts with Dr. Bala, Dr. Rushabh Malviya, Dr. Minakshi, Dr. Anjali Gupta, and Dr. Gaurav Kumar. These top 5 researchers are based on their publications in Scopus, Web of Science, citations, patent, authored book, edited books, book chapters, conferences, and then faculty as a resource person, sir. So overall personality, and wherein these 5 researchers have topped the university. Heartiest congratulations, team. So next, please. Yes, so they are here with the senior team and the research team as well. So top 5 researchers. So when we shifted from offline to online, sir, so we did this in a day. Then it's still, the awards continues with the research, but before that, the Excellence Awards in Training and Placement as well. We have our Director CPTD, Manisha Chaudhary, and then the team led by Mr. Manisha, Mr. Kushendra, and Mr. Manish Pant. So they, sir, during this challenging time as well, the Galgotias have been at the top for giving the maximum placements across all disciplines. So here these 3 are, and heartiest congratulations, Manisha, Manish, and Kushendra. Next, please. Yes, these are the research coordinators from the 19 school who have worked day night for last 2 years to bring this research at this stage. and coordinating from the department, collecting data for 800 faculties and 16,000 students was a challenging job, but then this team has done. Heartiest congratulations and kudos to your efforts. So appreciation for the research coordinators as well. Thank you for your hard efforts. And then it comes to the Galgotias University's 2 professors have been ranked in top 2% researchers of the world by Stanford University, Dr. Rishabh Malviya and Dr. Amit Singh. The Dr. Rishabh Malviya and Dr. Amit Singh, they have been listed. So Dr. Rishabh Malviya and then Dr. Amit Singh have been listed by the author database of standardized citations, indicators, and science-wide by 2020 by elsewhere. Heartiest congratulations to Dr. Rishabh and Dr. Amit Singh. Next, please. Next, please. So here they are. Heartiest congratulations, Dr. Amit and Dr. Rishabh. The next is, the list is still on, the last but not the least slide. The top 10, it is top 1% researchers of the university based on overall citations, Scopus H index, and I-10 index of the faculty, individual faculty. It doesn't include the only university affiliation, but these are the top 10 citations. So Dr. Pramod Kumar Sharma, the Dean, School of Medical and Allied Sciences, Dr. Ranjana Patnaik from School of Basic and Applied Sciences, Dr. Bala Murugan, Dr. Rishabh Malviya, Dr. Anupam Prakash, myself, Dr. Mohammad Aftab, Dr. Prabhakar Singh, Dr. Manish Kumar Dubey, and Dr. Meenakshi Sharma. These are the faculties having Scopus citations, top citations, and here they are. So heartiest congratulations team, and these are the everybody's Scopus citations. And I'm sure this year we had, last year we had 2, and this year we'll have many. So next is.
Thank you, ma'am. A huge round of applause to all the awardees. And now I would once again request our Honorable VC ma'am to present trophies to Honorable Chancellor sir and CEO sir. Ma'am.
Whatever university could perform in a short period of 10 years, it's all because of patronage given by our Honorable Chancellor sir, Shri Sunilji Galgotia. I request him to be here to present him a small memento from the university research team. Sir, please. Okay. Team.
इसको घुमाना भाई सर इसको घुमा दो इसको घुमाइए छोड़ दो सर
Thank you, sir.
Next.
Rolling.
We are really honored to be living under such footsteps and following the people who are highly accoladed, moving ahead. Now, I would like to once again request Dr. Meenakshi to take upon the stage to speak a few lines for the one who is being conferred with the Galactic Gratitude Award. Dr. Meenakshi.
It is 12B, ranking in patents, whether it is area ranking, and that is all because of patronage by our young CEO.
Rolling.
Okay, I would request CEO sir to come forth to take the trophy from VC ma'am. Please, sir.
Good evening, team. The university is progressing towards research and every day is coming out with new benchmarking, whether it is 12B, ranking in patents, whether it is area ranking, and that is all because of patronage by our young CEO, Mr. Dhruv Galgotia. I request Honorable CEO to be here to whom we wanted to present a small memento on behalf of University Research Team. Sir, please. डिस्टेंस रखते हुए ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं, दूर दूर आ जाओ.
माइक उठा लो.
Thank you, ma'am. I would request Dr. Meenakshi to please take upon the stage to confer ma'am with Galactic Gratitude Award. Please.
Don't work for recognition, but do work worthy of recognition. With this beautiful quote, I would like to request our Honorable Chancellor, Sir, and CE, Sir, to give a gratitude award to our one who envisioned the beginning of such ceremony, appreciating her outstanding leadership and guidance.
I would also like to extend special thanks to our treasured delegates of the evening and all the audience for joining us and making this occasion a huge success. May I now request Professor Dr. Naresh, Dean PG and PhD on stage for final.
Thank you, Priyanka. Good evening, all present here in India. Good morning, Dr. Roberts. I, Dr. Naresh, Dean PG and PhD, on behalf of the entire fraternity of the Galgotias University, extend my sincere thanks to Almighty God for making today's event a grand success. By His blessings and grace, we can make the event what it was. I want to give a really heartfelt vote of thanks to our esteemed guest, Nobel laureate, Dr. Richard J. Roberts, to share his research journey. Sir, it is really motivating and inspiring for all of us to see the research with new perspectives. My heartfelt thanks to Honorable Chairman of AICTE, Professor Anil D. Shahstrabudhe, sir. Sir, words are not enough to thank you. Your word always inspire us, ignite us to innovate. You are truly a role model for every academician. Thank you very much, sir, for sparing time from your busiest schedule. Your thoughts have enlightened our minds and shown us a new path. You have to have a big vision and take very small steps to get there. You have to be humble as you execute, but visionary and gigantic in terms of your aspiration. It's not about grand innovation, it's about a lot of little innovations. Every day, every week, every month, making something a little bit better. That is a true visionary. So words are very small for our Honorable Chancellor, sir, whose personality always motivates every member of Galgotias University to achieve extraordinary. A special mention to our Venerable Chancellor, sir, for adorning the occasion and giving his blessing. Thank you, sir. A pessimist complains about the wind optimists try to change it and a leader adjusts the sails. So this quote was given by John Maxwell. And this quote best fits to our two personalities, two honorable personalities of Galgotias University, our young and dynamic CEO, Mr. Dhruv Galgotia, and our vibrant honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Preeti Bajaj. These research awards was their brainchild and they started these last years. Now the seed sown by them has grown up in the form of a plant. So my special thanks to our young and dynamic CEO, sir, and Honorable Vice Chancellor, ma'am, for encouraging the faculties and research fraternity of the Galgotias University, who take the university to new heights. They being the catalyst that keep on inspiring us to do our best and stand as a pillar of power. Above and beyond, let's not forget the backbone of this grand function, our organizing team, especially Dr. Manoj Shanti, Dr. Agyaram Pandeji, Mr. Manjit, Mr. Kamran, Mr. Shrishant, Mr. Arun, Mr. Prashant, Mr. Gaurav, Mr. Ashwani, and all technical team who went an extra mile and worked their tail off under the guidance of the organizers and made this dream a reality. Thank you so much, everybody. My special thanks to Director Admin Ms. Aradhana Galgotia for coming on this occasion. Furthermore, let's have a special recognition to all the award winners who are torch bearers of the research breed of Galgotias University. And you will motivate lot others next year to take the university to new heights in research and innovation. So the end of a story is a new beginning for many others. On this note, let's conclude a remarkable, memorable event, second Research and Innovation Awards. On behalf of Galgotias University organizing team and UCRD, we sincerely promise you that in the coming years too, we will keep on motivating your outstanding contributions related to the research and innovations and promise this chain will increase exponentially. Last but not the least, a big thank you to each one of you who made this second Research and Innovation Awards memorable for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I will now request everyone to please, okay, ma'am, please go ahead.
So, it's not about, it has not ended because many more wanted to share their feedback, and let me share a small feedback, a few feedbacks which I could collect from my team and that I'm just playing.
I'm very thankful to the management, to VC ma'am for their support, motivation, and providing me an opportunity to do the research work, quality research work in fact. And I extend my thanks to Dean Recognition, motivation and appreciation to Galgotias University, especially for my Honorable VC ma'am and overall team. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Especially thanks to the management, to the VC madam, and to the university UCRD team for promoting this research and innovation culture. Thank you all of you.
Any university, any institution is recognized for its research and innovation activities. We are really honored to have such a pleasure, such a platform here where we all have here. Thank you, the management team, for supporting all. Thank you.
I'm deeply honored for this appreciation. I thank the colleagues for continuous encouraging and motivation for the research and innovation activities.
Galgotia University has always been known for its academic excellence over the years, and now this is our effort to, along with academic excellence, move towards research-oriented university, and we are trying to transform ourselves towards a university which has both the facets, academic excellence as well as research. And I thank the management, I thank the Vice Chancellor and all the other members of the team for research to have initiated this thing, so that it will further motivate me and my faculty members to continue on the research path in years to come.
Okay, next.
I am glad to receive this award. Knowledge.
I thank to the management and the Vice Chancellor for this kind of support, right? Maybe it won't stop now, right? It may continue.
With the achievement. Thank you so much.
I would like to thank Chancellor Sir, COE Sir, VC Ma'am, Dean Sir, Advisor and the whole team.
More research in their own interest. So I thank the Galgotias University team for encouraging and motivating for research. Thank you.
Thank you, Galgotias University, for providing the research platform here, and we are thankful.
God will promote the research.
My thanks to Chancellor Sir.
Dr. P.K. Sharma Sir. I feel proud to be part of Galgotias University.
Good morning. I really feel motivated to be a part of this second Innovation and Research Award. I really convey my thanks to Chancellor Sir, PC Madam, DVC Sir, for recognition. Thank you.
Award of the Galgotias University as a
like to take this golden opportunity to thank the university, our Vice Chancellor and my dean, Dr. P.K. Sharma, for giving me this chance to perform a good innovation and research opportunity. Thank you very much. Sir and respected dean. Thank you so lot.
A great motivation for
Sir, PVC Sir and Professor P.K. Sharma Sir, Dean SMS. Being a SMS part, really I am feeling very much proud to receive this award, sir. Thanks.
This is my honor and I'm grateful to receive this award from the management of Galgotias University, and I'm glad that the university has recognized our efforts, and this is a great motivation for all of us work to even higher at Galgotias University.
I am happy and I'm glad.
Vice Chancellor.
this award recognized and this
opportunity to thank everyone for considering me for this honor, for this research award. Feel grateful. Our university has always made sure to motivate everyone to achieve their best and strive towards working hard in research. I now feel extremely lucky in being a part of this. On this occasion, I would like to remind everyone that excellence in teaching can only Chancellor Ma'am.
Galgotian.
higher authority of Galgotias.
I can't be completed this target. Chancellor Dr. Preeti Bajaj.
So that's done. Stop karo.
I would now request everyone to please stand up for national anthem. Thank you, everyone. And I heartily congratulate every single awardee to receive the research award. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, both of Honorable Dr. Roberts and Sir Sir. Thank you once again. for sparing your precious time. We understand how difficult it is for you to spare and to adjust our time zone. And sir, for your busy schedule, you were attending multiple meetings, and then I was after you for, oh, namaskar, sir. So thank you, sir. And sorry for all the trouble which I was chasing up, and I was sending you messages for attending this. Thank you for all your support.
We should thank the Honorable, our Nobel laureate who spent so much time for your institution. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. I will take leave, madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, me too. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, good luck.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts. Thank you so much.